Tasting. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor, and today we are trying a special espresso roast. Today we're doing the Espresso Maranello, and this is a espresso that is supplied by the coffee company Peerless Coffee and Tea Co. And so with this coffee, we're going to explore the special flavor notes that this coffee has to offer, and then we're going to talk about where this coffee comes from, and then we're also going to talk about the local business, the local coffee shop, the small coffee shop that I actually got this from here in Palm Springs, California. And so with these coffee tastings, we're starting to explore the coffees outside of Starbucks, and at the same time, we're helping make everyone aware of the small coffee shops that exist around town. And the reason why this is important because we want to support the small business so that they're getting what they need to be able to thrive, especially during this pandemic. And then also at the same time, they have exceptional coffees that they offer that you don't necessarily get to experience if you stay within a certain circle of coffee. So it's very important to branch out and explore different coffees just to taste all the different flavors that aren't available to where you might make your daily routine. And then also on top of that, it's just important to support the local businesses in your town, or maybe if you're visiting and you're from out of town, just to support that local business so that they could stay open and continue to cater to the locals and then to tourists as well. So with this coffee, I got it from a local business called Ristretto on Ramon and Palm Canyon Drive. So it's going to be downtown Palm Springs. Very nice little cafe, very quiet. So if you're looking for a nice quiet place to drink some coffee with exceptional flavor, that is your place to go. So let's go ahead and get this brew started. So if you guys are joining me for the first time, welcome. Thank you guys for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Every subscribe and like on this channel helps me make this channel better and helps me explore more areas. I plan on expanding the coffees that I try and starting to move from city to city, kind of do a tour, really just really highlight all the different coffee shops that are available. And if I can get enough followers, you guys, I can do a tour, maybe eventually hit up your city or your state, maybe feature your guys' favorite small business coffee shop. So help me with my goal and hit that like and subscribe button down below. If you guys are returning and you guys have been to my previous coffee tastings, welcome back. I greatly appreciate you guys joining me for these coffee tastings. These tastings are important to me because I love sharing the knowledge and the stories behind the coffee and the stories that coffee has to offer. And so it is my dedication to learn these stories and pass them on to you guys so that you guys have a little bit more of a meaning behind your cup and you get to learn where your coffee comes from. So that's the cool part for that. So let's go ahead and get this pour over started. So on my live stream, you guys, I like to brew my coffee multiple ways. And the reason why I like to brew my coffee multiple ways is so that we get to explore the different flavor notes that we experience in the coffee. And so with the pour over, we're going to see a lot less of those sediments make its way through into the coffee. And a little bit of those oils are also going to be filtered out too by being caught in the paper filter. And with the French press, we're going to see a lot more of those sediments and a lot more of those oils make its way into the cup. So with those oils and those sediments, it's going to impact the flavor of the coffee. So the reason why I like to do pour over versus French press is because we're having pretty much opposite spectrum brews. We have the the dark brew with the sediments and the oils, and then we have the one that's filtered. And with that, we're getting different flavor notes. And the reason why I do this is so that we can experience the different levels of intensity that one particular coffee has to offer. So you might have tried a coffee one brew style and you might not have liked it, but you might not have liked it because of the way it was brewed. And by experiencing these coffees multiple ways, I've actually experienced some coffees that I didn't necessarily like before, but I've never tried them multiple brew styles. And then by exploring the different brew methods with certain coffees, I actually found that different brew methods made for a more balanced cup of coffee. So, for instance, we recently did Sumatra, and with the Sumatra blend, on the pour over, you get a lot more of those herbal spicy notes that come through. And with those herbal spicy notes, it seems to be a little bit more of an intense, impactful cup of coffee. You get a lot more of those floral notes that attach to the tongue, and it gives you that dry mouth feeling. And so for me, the pour over with the Sumatra wasn't a very pleasant cup of coffee, but that's my particular flavor notes that I'm not looking for that. But on the French press, I initially thought that the French press was going to be a more intense cup of coffee on the Sumatra. But because we're getting more of those sediments and more of those oils, those bitter flavors came forward more to match with those floral notes. So the floral notes didn't taste as intense because those bitter flavors came forward more. So it balanced the cup out. So before, the cup was unbalanced, or it leaned more towards that floral flavor. And some people might be looking for that floral flavor, but me, I tend to lean away from the floral flavor. So the Sumatra on the French press was my preferred brew. And normally I would stray away from Sumatra because Sumatra is normally too dark for me, but I've only tried Sumatra on a traditional pour over method, so I've always gotten those notes that I don't like. And so by exploring the French press, I discovered that I'm getting a little bit more of a balanced cup, that those bitter flavors come forward to balance out that acidic floraliness, making it a little bit more pleasant to drink. It still had strong floral notes, so definitely not my cup of coffee, but on the French press, it wasn't as pronounced and so intense, and so it made it much easier to drink, even though I would particularly go for a more of a Latin American coffee, just because we're getting more of those milk chocolate bitter notes. All right, and so today we're trying the Espresso Maranello, and this is a blend of, well, I think it's a single origin coffee. I tried to look up where these beans came from. I couldn't find any particular region that these beans come from, but these beans are considered liquid gold, and it's based off of the North Italian espresso. And so with the Italian espressos, you have different flavors and varietals depending on where you come from Italy. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the different varietals here after we taste the coffee. So we're going to go ahead and taste the pour over first. And so with the pour over, we're going to see a lot more of those bright spicy notes in this coffee, while in the French press we're going to see a lot more of those earthy bitters. So from the initial sniff, I'm getting a lot of that bright, roasty, spicy flavor. It's got a really, really rich espresso scent. So we're going to go ahead and sip the coffee. So with this Espresso Maranello, we're getting a lot of that spicy, roasty flavor on the side, and that's on the pour over. Not a whole lot going on the center of the tongue. We got a little bit of bitterness, but it's very, very subtle. So right now we're just getting a lot of those bright, spicy notes. And it's nice because it's a roasty spicy, so it's gives you like the illusion of maybe sipping on a warm cup of coffee in front of a campfire. That's what this reminds me of. Really, really good. A little intense. That initial roasty spice flavor on the sides of the tongue is like a nice little punch, but it mellows out, doesn't attach to the tongue, doesn't linger on too much. It does leave a somewhat of an after flavor, but it's not as intense as I was saying the Sumatra was, where it for me it was unbearable. This is a very smooth, roasty spice. All right, so now let's go ahead and plunge our French press. So with the French press, we're going to see a lot more of those sediments, and we're going to see a lot more of those oils. So with the sediments, we're going to see more of those bitter flavors. And so with those bitter flavors, we're going to balance out those spicy, roasty notes. So we're going to see how the Espresso Maranello, I believe it's pronounced, taste on the French press. So with the French press, we're going to get more of that traditional espresso flavor because it's going to be more balanced. With this, we get a lot of that bright roasty flavor coming forward, and it still does have that traditional espresso flavor, but this is going to have a lot more of that dark roasty flavor. So immediately, we're definitely smelling a different flavor. We're getting a lot more of the bitters coming through. It definitely doesn't smell as bright as the pour over does. So with the French press, we're getting that initial bright flavor right off the bat, but then we're getting that nice silky smooth flavor of like almost like a milk chocolatiness towards the center of our tongue, but we're still getting that roasty flavor on the sides. So that's what we're looking for with that traditional espresso flavor is those bright roasty notes, but then we get like those smooth bitter flavors towards the center of our tongue that kind of balances it out. And then if you notice here on the French press, we kind of got like a nice little crema forming up on top here, and that's what you're gonna see that, especially with the with when you're brewing like an espresso roast or any type of really dark roast on the French press. That one is really good. It's very mellow. It's surprisingly mellow for the florally notes. You get a lot more of those bitters towards the center of the tongue, and it just pretty much takes away from that brightness of the coffee. It still has those bright roasty qualities, but it's definitely, I would say, more balanced. Much like I said with the Sumatra, much more easier to drink with the French press. And it's interesting to say that because a lot of people think that with French press you're getting a little bit more of an intense cup of coffee. It's going to be harder to drink because you have that full immersion process with all those sediments. But not every cup of coffee is going to be in like super bitter because of the French press. And this is a great example of that because with the pour over we had those super bright floral flavors. But with the French press we have those bitter flavors coming forward to kind of balance out those bright florals. So it's really nice, very, very smooth, surprisingly smooth cup of coffee on the French press. All right. So Peerless Coffee, or Peerless Coffee and Tea, they have been supplying coffee beans to the West Coast since believe it's 1924. So the better part of 90 odd years. And so they're one of the longest suppliers of of Arabica beans in America, and especially the West Coast. And so that's how they pretty much started. So they were one of the first to supply high quality beans on the West Coast and in America. And then we have this Espresso Maranello, and the Espresso Maranello is a espresso bean that has been roasted to perfection, and has been considered liquid gold, and it is modeled after Northern Italian espresso. And so the what we're looking for with the Northern Italian espresso is those more robust, bitter notes, with the slight roasty flavor, like we saw here in the French press and the pour over, is especially in the pour over. Um, but when you start to go to southern Italy, you start to see more of those roasty, bright floral flavors, and those roasty, bright floral flavors, and the full body flavor comes from the robusto beans. So they normally use robusto beans in southern Italy, and the robusto beans grow at a lower elevation. It's going to have a completely different flavor, and it's going to have a different quality as well. The robusto do require a little bit more maintenance to maintain because they are more they grow in a warmer climate, so they're because of that you have a lot of more diseases you have to look out for. But with the Arabica beans, you're getting more of a rich flavor, and with that rich flavor, you're gonna get those rich, almost milk chocolate mouthfeels, but you're still getting those bright roasty floral flavors, and that's important, especially if you're looking for the attributes of a traditional Italian espresso, and for the Northern Italian espresso. That's what they look for, especially with this cup of coffee, is we want that more darker flavor, and with that silky smoothness, but we still have that traditional roasty, floral flavor that's traditional to Italian espresso. And in Italy, the espresso varies widely, because you have traditions of roasting, and processing methods, that are traditions of different families. And so you have different families in different parts of Italy that have their traditions on how they process their coffee, and it impacts the flavor widely. And so these particular flavors are what you would see in a roast that comes from a family in northern Italy. And so that is the story behind this particular cup of coffee and what it's modeled after. It's modeled after Northern Italian espresso with those bolder, richer notes, but still has those bright, roasty, floral flavors. And those bright, roasty floral flavors really come out in the pour over if you want to taste those bright floral flavors. But if you're looking for a more balanced cup of coffee, I would definitely go for the French press. Much more smoother to drink, easier for me, I'd say. But that's because I'm not a big fan of those floral flavors. So if you like a nice IPA or a beer that's really hoppy, you would love the pour over on the Espresso Maranello. And so I actually got this coffee from a local coffee shop, and the local coffee shop is called Ristretto. And this local coffee shop has a really, really nice cafe, you guys. So if you guys get the chance, I want you guys to go down to the Ristretto shop. And this shop is located on the corner of Ramon and Palm Canyon. And it's in an office building, a small office building, and it'll be on the bottom floor. They have a really nice patio, you guys. It's got a very nice vibe feel to the inside and outside, and their service is great, and the espresso is high quality. So if you guys want a high quality latte, and you guys want to take a break from your normal coffee shop, or if you just want to support a local coffee shop just for one day, if every one of us takes one day just to visit a local coffee shop out of our normal routine, that's just going to help them thrive. So that is my challenge for you guys, is to if you have the ability, visit this shop downtown Palm Springs called Ristretto, and support your local business. Tell them I sent you. You know, maybe I can get some more support from the local coffee shops. You know, but I'd love to see what kind of reaction we can get out of it. Maybe we can get quite a bit of traffic going through there because of these coffee tastings, and really help the local business get a little bit more traffic, and help their employees make that extra dollar so that they can take it home. If you guys enjoyed learning about the small business today and the special coffee by Peerless Coffee, go ahead and hit the link down below. That is going to be a list of coffee tastings that I have done in the past. And then the link above is just a video that YouTube thinks that you might like. Thanks again for joining again. Have a great day, guys.